Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Dawson. Welcome to Leader Talk. This show is proudly brought to you by Brainiact. Each week we are meeting with incredible leaders from around the world to discuss all things leadership and business insights. Each person coming on this talk show has given up their valuable time for one very clear purpose: to give back to small and medium business owners. Many of us will agree that one of the key responsibilities of leaders is the ability to safely lead their teams to a successful destination. Unfortunately, some leaders will fail, especially if they overlook the fact that people follow leaders who serve a similar purpose to them. Today, my co-host, CEO of Peerlight, Gus Arianto, and I are fortunate to chat to our guest speaker, Ahmed Abbassi, Executive Director of Competitions and Football Development at the Qatar Stars League. Ahmed is widely recognised as an experienced leader with a proven history of talent and passion in the sporting industry. Ahmed excels in all areas involving leadership, strategy, football management, and governance. And Ahmed is here today to share his insights about the importance of leading with purpose, as well as the importance of investing in our youth for future generations. Welcome to the show, Ahmed.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be here.
Welcome, Ahmed. Thank you for donating your time.
Thanks, Gustav. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. And Ahmed, we always begin Leader Talk with asking our guests two fun questions. So we have prepared yours here. And the first one we'd love to ask you is, who is your favorite football player and why?
Good question. My favorite football player of all times is Zinedine Zidane. And the reason for that is he's always he was brilliant on the pitch. He was a leader without showing off. He was so humble, and he was always under control of the whole pitch in one way or another. So he was like in an orchestra. He's the guy who gave the tempo, and that was just amazing. So yeah, Zinedine Zidane is my favorite player of all times.
Fantastic. Have you met him by any chance?
I met him 10 years ago, actually.
Oh, you did. Fantastic.
Yeah, so we had a very short chat, and he's very humble, very humble.
Great. And we have to ask, what is your favorite sport other than football?
I do a lot of functional training, so I'm very focused into football. So any other sport does not take my attention. I do functional training, so but that I do for myself. I enjoy doing that. I tried some other sports, but I think I should stick to football. That's
I agree. I love football.
Yeah.
Before we start asking you some additional questions, Ahmed, we were hoping you can just introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself for everyone listening.
Ooh, that's probably the most difficult question somebody can ask me. You can ask me anything other than this question. I don't like to talk about myself. I'm just me. So I don't know what I can say about myself, actually. I enjoy playing football. I enjoy being around people, fun people, and I enjoy change. So I enjoy leading change with a good group of people for a better norm. So I challenge the status quo. I don't believe in the status quo. I don't believe that we should stick to the status quo, and that is what I do. Wow. That's the most I can say about myself.
That's just incredible. Natalie asked you a simple question: who's your favorite football player and why? And the first thing comes from you is he's humble, yet he's in control of the field. And then you talking about yourself. I'm me, but I'm so passionate about changing people for the better outcome by challenging the status quo. Love leading change. Like your answer, I think the next 1 hour will be a great one, Natalie, because
sure.
sharing.
I will enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
Definitely. And Ahmed, when I was doing some research about you, when I was preparing for today, I had a look at your LinkedIn profile, and something that really caught my eye, directly under your name, it read, inspiring people to inspire others to do great for the world. It's exactly what Gus has just said now. Can you explain to everyone and to us what you mean by this?
Yeah, so I believe that we can always improve everything. I believe that there are a lot of things in the world that must be improved, that must be developed, and we all have a stake in it. So we all have to take action, to understand, to learn, to work together, to synergize towards creating a better world. So I believe that the best way to do that is to create better leaders. So that's why my purpose actually is to create a better world by enhancing social, economic, and environmental sustainability globally. Of course, this sounds very, very big, and nobody can do that alone. So we all have to do that together. But how can we do that? How can we influence the most people? We need better leaders. We need more leaders that are capable of inspiring a lot of people to move, and that's why, you know, what I really like to do is to inspire people to inspire others. So inspiring people to be better will inspire them to inspire a lot of other people, and all together we can create a better world.
Wow, that's very nice,
Inshallah.
Ahmed. Yeah. When we hear about inspiring people, just like when someone said to me, we need to be passionate. The reality is inspiring people, and I believe, this is my belief, the audience, a lot of audience will think about inspiring people means you have to be in front of people, talking loudly, asking people for clapping, yet people come in a different shape of capability. Are you agree with me that inspiring not necessarily by talking if you don't like talking, because some people don't like to talk in front of people, but you can inspire people by your actions, by sharing your knowledge, by teaching others, by is that what you mean by inspiring people to inspire by increasing the sharing of the expertise and the capability?
Yes, inspiring actually is much easier and simpler than a lot of people think. It's not about public speaking. It's not about PR. It's not about telling people what to do. It is firstly it is to understand why we do what we do, and you spread that in one way or another. So if we want to inspire people to be happy, you don't have to make a speech. You just have to smile around. You just have to go and compliment people. You just have to be nice to people, and you will inspire. If you inspire one person and that person inspires 10, you did a great job. And you never know who you can inspire. So sometimes it's by actions, sometimes it's by speeches, sometimes it's by reactions. So sometimes if you don't do anything, you inspire people. So there's a difficult situation that you're in, and by not doing anything, and whereas everyone else would have reacted differently, you inspired people to be calm. You inspired people to have to control their emotions in difficult moments. So there are at least a billion ways to inspire people, but it ultimately goes all back to the purpose. There's no purpose, there's no inspiration.
Yes, wow, isn't it? I'm learning as well, Ahmed. I mean, you are the first one that actually teach me by saying that by doing nothing, you might be surprised that you can inspire people, especially
Yes.
when there is a lot of thunderstorm. If you actually running around and start doing speeches when there is a thunderstorm, you actually probably creating more problem. By doing nothing and stay calm, you can inspire people as well, and that is just what a great insight. And I agree with you when you said that there's a billion ways to inspire as long you have a purpose and know exactly why you're doing what you do. I write it here.
That's very good.
You're
Glad to hear
clearly
that.
you're a real passionate leader and with a really clear purpose. For those listening out there that aren't really sure what their purpose is, what would you say? Why is it so important to understand purpose for yourself?
If there's one thing that we can choose in life that is the most important, it's to have a life purpose.
Yeah.
We all have a life purpose. We're born with a life purpose, but we always have to understand it. Actually, when we're at the age of 4 or 5, all day, we ask why. Why is the sky blue? Why do we have to go to school? Why is this like that? Why do I have to eat? I don't want to eat, but why do I have to eat? So it's all about the purpose, because we are born like that. We are born in a way that we have to understand why we do what we do to do it. Later on in life, unfortunately, the way life today is, it's more about the how and the what. So I don't really care why I'm working, but I have to do this because everybody has to have a job. I don't really know why I go to school, because I just have to. Everybody goes to school, right? But if I understand why I need to go to school, because I need to change the world tomorrow, I need to create a better future for myself and the future generations, my perspective will change. If I go to university and I want to go to I do this major and this university for my parents, or for the diploma, for the name of the university, or because it's well paid. Okay, I might succeed and I might get this job, but I won't be happy. I don't want to be, I don't connect with being a doctor and saving lives. So although it's well paid, at the end, if I'm a doctor and I'm well paid, but every single day I have to do this job, I won't like it. The other way around. If my life purpose is to save lives, and it's a big struggle to go through university, medical school. At the end, to go to more struggle to create your clinic, or to go, Doctors Without Borders, they're not even paid. But why do they do it? Because it's their life purpose. They understand that they're doing this to save lives. It's not to gain money. And those people who understand it, they live a happy life. And if somebody asks you what's your purpose, you should not answer being happy or doing something for my family. That's just an effect. It's way bigger than that. It has to be something that is as big as it can get, and it has to be something that you feel the fire in you when you think about it. So it might be justice, it might be empowering people, might be world peace, it might be environmental sustainability. So everybody might have different purposes, but once you understand your purpose, and for example, you go for a job interview and you want to work for a company, and the purpose in reality is very far from your purpose, you will not enjoy the job. You will not like it. So if, again, the person that we talked about earlier, whose purpose is to save lives, gets a job as the CEO of Marlboro, very, very well paid, it wouldn't fit him. It wouldn't fit him or her. So this person would go every day. It's not me. It's not my life purpose. It's actually the contrary to mine. Mine is to save lives, and this organization probably takes away lives. So it's very important for us to understand our life purpose. And my advice also to people, that they need to understand the purpose of their organization. It's not most of the times it's not as clear as we think. You need to understand it, and if it doesn't align with yours, you need to consider changing.
Yeah.
And if you go to an interview, this is one of the first questions. If I was looking for a job, I would ask the question, what is the purpose of the organization? Most organizations don't know what the purpose is. They all have a purpose, but most of them, they don't know.
Yes. Wow, such a strong statement there. When we talk about purpose, sorry, I'm keep looking down because I'm trying to take notes, and every time I write notes, I delete the notes and I write the new one, because the context, while it's simple, I think everyone understand what purpose means, but executing that with discipline, trying to understand your purpose, organizational purpose, why you are exist in the first place, required a lot of investment of searching within yourself. Now, when we talk about purpose, some of the example that you give, for example, to save life, a better world, to empower people, that's a big statement. How do we start that process, in your opinion, so we can find our purpose? Because in the high level, it can be scary for some people. I want to save people, but I'm scared of needles. I'm just giving a example. For example, I want to save people, but I'm scared of anything related to medical. For example, if I'm just talking, if someone want to do doctors, save people can be in a different ways. That's just an example. Do you have any tips how you reorganize your thinking so you can find your purpose?
So first of all, if your life purpose is to save lives and you're afraid of needles, that's not a big deal, because the most important thing is your life purpose. The how, you can adapt it. So it might be through needles, but it might be through a billion other ways. There are a billion other ways to fulfill your purpose. So the how is not an issue once you know your why. How do you get to your why? It's not an easy journey. It's not a quick journey. You need to go very, very deep, being self-aware of yourself, what really triggers you. What's the thing that you want to see in the world? What is your vision of the world? And we should not stay in the comfort zone and saying, okay, everything is good. I have a job, I have a family, I like to go to the beach, and that's it. There are people struggling out there. The environment is in a crisis. Society has a billion problems. So you can't just say, I don't care about it. I'm fine. So you need to understand what is the one thing you stand for. What's your cause? And of course, you can't. Most of the time, you don't just answer it like that. You have to think about it. You have to think about it very, very deeply. You have to challenge it. What I like to do always when I discuss with people, and I can get very annoying with the purpose discussion, but because I think it's so important, and it's fundamental. So whenever they say something, I would say, okay, why? If you can still answer, then you're not there yet, but you're getting closer. You have to understand it has to be big. It has to be something globally. It has to be something for the world and not just for yourself, because you don't exist for yourself. And it's a deep discussion with yourself, and it's not with yourself, and maybe even with your peers, with your friends, with your family who have a similar mindset like you, and have a discussion about it. What's the purpose of your show, for example? I asked both of you.
Yes. So our purpose.
What's your purpose? Yes.
Yeah. So it's funny when we talk about Leader Talk. When 4 months ago, Leader Talk is not existent. It's actually a passion of Natalie, her husband Jared, which is have another business called Brainiac, and myself. We say to each other, we discuss a lot of things, and then it's become our purpose. And we said, how can we do things for the world? The world is a bigger thing. There's children, there's businesses, there is people. And we said, you know what? We want to make a difference for small and medium business owners that are currently struggling all over the world by improving their knowledge so they can be a better leaders in their organization that capture a lot more people. And then we say to ourselves, but how do we capture that? How do we improve a small business in Qatar, a small business in Indonesia, a small business in Australia? How do 3 people that is sitting in our office in this computer inspire them. And we said, because the purpose is to bring insights, leadership capability to them for free, non-commercials, the only way is we find leaders like yourself that want to genuinely donate their skill set, insight, capability for these people. That's our purpose. That, you know what? I have to agree with you. A lot of people ask both of us, Natalie and I, how do you do this? You have a job and you do this constantly, every week, every month. How do you keep that? And I agree with you, Ahmed, that when you have a purpose, the how, it's suddenly popping up, isn't it, Natalie? Like suddenly we find Ahmed. Like how do we find? Yes.
We could have a really exhausting day and we have to go on air at 9 o'clock at night due to time zones or something. And, Gus, but the moment we're on air, it's like, because we love it and the passion's there and it's the purpose, we just do it, don't we, Gus? And afterwards, we're all buzzing. We've learned something, we've given back, and it's a great feeling.
Yes, even like this right now, when you're talking about the purpose and you ask back that question to us, what is the purpose of this? It's so important that we come back to that, because our purpose is to create a better world in business, especially small and medium business, by sharing great insight from leaders all over the world. Because we do not want to just touch one country. We do not want to touch one organization. We want to make sure that people can learn from each other, so they get the knowledge. I mean, everything that you say is just like, wow, it's just simply wow for me.
Yeah, and can I just add to that? I run a copywriting business, and a lot of the time we're asked to write copy for a business on their website, for example. And the amount of times we would ask for something like, can we see your vision, your mission, and your values? Something that you think would be at the core of a business. They don't have it. So, I have the pleasure of sitting down with a lot of businesses and coming up with this. But you are right, without that purpose, from a copywriter's perspective, we can't write, valid copy, let alone what is the purpose of the existence. So everything you've said, that kept playing on my mind from a business perspective, because everyone needs a purpose. Every business needs a purpose.
Yes. And I think this is much more important than vision and mission.
Yeah,
I would suggest, especially for small and medium companies, to start with the purpose. Why do I want to exist? Because once you know that, it'll be easier to communicate this to your customers. Once they know it, they will follow you. So people don't follow you for what you do; they follow you for why you do it.
Yes, spot on.
Now, whenever we're writing a vision and mission, the first question I'm going to ask is, what is your purpose?
Yes. We actually, Sorry.
Because I think vision is where you want to go. Purpose is why you want to go there. Vision is we want to go to. Vision is Qatar is a destination for, because I never been in Qatar, so I want to go to Qatar. That's a vision. But then I meet Ahmed. Ahmed say, why do you want to go to Qatar? Right.
So you start with the why, actually.
Yes.
So what you should do is you should say, I want to discover the desert, or I want to discover an amazing country for my holidays. Okay. And then you say, okay, is it Qatar? Is it Brazil? Is it Japan? Whatever it is.
Yes.
And then, rather than saying, okay, I want to go to Brazil, and then you start thinking why you want to go to Brazil. So that's purpose comes first.
Yes.
So we for example, at the Qatar Stars League, we shifted. Now we have made a huge shift in our organization. We've shifted away from vision and mission. So our vision was to become one of the top 3 leagues in Asia by 2020, and we achieved it. But when we achieved it, we figured that, okay, so what? So it's not about getting there, but it's about understanding why we do what we do. Why do we have league? Our purpose is to deliver high quality, competitive football entertainment. So we want to entertain the spectators. That's our purpose. It's not about being the second best league in Asia. Who cares? So and that's a huge shift, because every single day, our team, everybody in our team, in one way or another, we are pushing a button. Every single day, we push the button. We push the button. We do the job that we have to do. We do the job that we have in our job description every single day. But if we don't know why we do that, it gets boring. It gets frustrating. We need change. We're not convinced, but we have to do it. We don't know what our impact is. But if somebody told you that this button that you press every single day, that you push every single day, every time you push that button, you save one life. Now, this becomes much more interesting. So you want to push even more the button. You want to do extra hours to push the button longer and more often. And you wake up in the morning knowing that you're going to save at least 1,000 lives today. Now that's much more interesting than waking up in the morning not knowing why you do what you do.
Correct.
And that's a big shift.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's Ahmed, it's funny when you said your vision, your organization vision initially was to be the top 3 in Asia. My organization vision was to be the biggest lighting manufacturer in Australia, to provide lighting everywhere. And then we get there and we ask ourselves, so what? So we also went through the same changes 3 years ago. We reconstruct everything, and we now have a purpose to empower our people, our customer and community, so they can do a great job for their community. So what the changes that happened in my organization was, not long ago, the sales team will sell a light fitting because they need to sell it. And then they get rejection by the hospital that they want to sell, and they give up. Today, because we want to empower the hospital to do their best work, they didn't give up, because we believe that our solution will save life. The surgeon will see better during surgery. And the people are become more in tune, because they do not feel they go to work because they want to sell something. They understand that they need to do this, because through this, we're creating a brighter future. And that shift happened in our business 3 years ago. And the impact on well-being, performance, engagement within our business are improved. And exactly how you describe it, it is just amazing. I think people have to take what you say here, because it's just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, we could stay on this topic for the full hour, but before we move on to the next one, I actually want to ask one more thing about purpose, Ahmed. The definition of purpose, do you think it's different in leadership versus just, for a business or for yourself? Do you think it shifts the actual definition, or it's exactly the same?
It's exactly the same everywhere. It's why you do what you do, and you need to understand the purpose of it. So it's everywhere. Purpose is everywhere. It's the core of everything. And the more you understand it and you remind yourself on it, the better you live, as a company, as an individual, as a family, as a football team, as a government. That is extremely important for a government. Sometimes it loses purpose. You don't know what direction it's taking. But yeah, in a crisis, purpose is very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's such a great topic, isn't it? We could go on for hours on this one. But I do want to move on to investing in our youth, because I know our listeners want to hear about this as well. And, currently you're the Executive Director of Competitions and Football Development, I had to write it down, at Qatar Stars League. So obviously you're working with incredibly talented football players. So from your perspective, how do you think, or how important do you think it is that we actually invest in our youth when it comes to football itself, before we move on to the business side, in football,
I think,
in general?
I think on and off the pitch is very important. So it's not only about the talents that are on the pitch. Of course, that is the bread and butter of professional football. You need to have talent. You need to identify them. You need to develop them so that they reach the elite level, and the elite level gets better. But at the same time, you need to again go back, identify the young talent, develop them to the elite level. So it's a it's a circle. On the pitch, it's quite clear, but off the pitch, sometimes it's not that clear. So we forget about getting back, looking at young talent, giving the chance, the opportunity to young people who are hungry, eager to create change. But again, we go back to the previous topic. We have to remind them that they must understand their purpose when they come into the organization, because otherwise they will not be eager to create that change. They will just come to push the button, and that is extremely important. So first of all, we need to be out there and scout. I like to do that a lot. So I go out there and I look for talent. I'm not worried about the talent on the pitch, because they are top talent is going to get identified one way or another. I'm worried about the talent off the pitch, because I want that talent. I want that talent in my team. I want to work with people who are passionate. I want to work with people who are talented. But also, even more important than talent is the attitude. So the attitude comes from the purpose. If a person does not know his or her purpose, then the attitude will not be at the level to be a good team player and to create a better organization, to develop him or herself to the extent that they become leaders in the organization. And that is extremely important. So it's a mix between talent, humility, and attitude. All of these three together creates potentially your next leader. I'm constantly looking for the person who's going to replace me. So it's important to get out there, to understand, to talk to people, and to see, okay, what are the reactions? When do you feel something? And this is something also we have to develop in ourselves, to understand, to identify the talent. And a good example in that is actually on pitch scouting. You have some people, they have what we call diamond eyes. So they can see a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old, and they can say, when everyone else says this guy doesn't play, is not the talent, but they can see something in him. They can say, okay, no, this player is not normal. And it turns out later on, once that player has gone through the process of development, training in proper manners, to become a big player. It's exactly the same thing outside. So you need to develop this diamond eye. You need to see. You need to learn how to see the talent. You need to learn how to see the potential in people. Everybody has potential, but we just need to understand what the potential is, and to what extent this person can reach that potential.
Correct.
Diamond eye. I'm writing that down. I haven't heard of that before. Would
Yeah.
you say you have a diamond eye, Ahmed?
I hope that one day I will have, but I'm learning. It's not easy, because you need to understand people.
Yeah.
You need to understand people, and you need to understand the people in different contexts. So you need to have a special vision. That's why it's called diamond eye, because it has to. You have to have a vision on a person that you don't know.
Yeah.
So on pitch scouting, you need to have a vision on a player that you just watching 5 minutes or one match, and not in the best conditions, at an age that is not yet developed. So you need to develop a skill set to envision this person in 10 years from now through a process that you also envision. And then the best people, they understand what the circumstances, what the conditions need to be for that person to excel and to become that person, that leader in the future, that big player in the future.
Yes. And I believe if you want to have a diamond eye, you need to be very, very strong in your ability to look not only from your eye, but through your heart as well. because
Yes.
because at the age of 14, 15, there will be a lot of things that in the normal eye you will not believe that he or she will be able to make a great journey. You need to really look at it beyond the surface, and that's have to come from a very kind heart, in my opinion, to be able to genuinely search it. Wow, fantastic. Diamond eye, never heard before.
I've written it down.
Just to add on it, so for example, and that's also an example in football. So the diamond eye, not every scout has a diamond eye. So not everybody has the diamond eye.
Yes.
You can develop your diamond eye. You can develop the skill set of scouting the talent, but you need to understand also that you need to develop it. How do you do that? You need to learn. You need to learn about the market. You need to learn about the conditions. You need to learn about players. You need to get out there. You can't just stay in your office and say, oh, no, I know people. I just get it. I just see. I look at you, and with your looks, I can say that you can become a great leader. It's not like that. You need to be close to people. You need to be a people's person. You need to understand how the world is changing. So you can't have a vision on a person 10 years from now if you don't have a vision of the world 10 years from now.
Yes.
An example in football, for example, you need to understand what the new trends are in football, how football is evolving, how football is changing, and what you think football is going to look like in 10 years. So if football is going to look like, faster and stronger, your diamond eye would require you to understand the potential of that player in the context of the football in 10 years, the new football that you envision. So that is extremely important.
Yes.
Yeah, that it is definitely important. It's a very valid point. Look, I want to switch it just to small and medium business, because I want to, just like we just spoke about football now, if we switch it to investing in youth in business, how can small and medium business owners, from your perspective, benefit from actually investing in youth?
The benefit is huge, because the youth, first of all, a vast majority of your clients most likely are going to be the youth, unless you do a product that is specifically created for elderly people. But to understand the changes in a better way, youth are going to help you. Also, and you should have a target to create some kind of economic and financial sustainability for your organization. In order to do that, you need to think very far from now. How do you do that? You need youth. So if you don't invest in youth, and a lot of organizations have a context where it's old school, and you just know this organization is old school. Why? Because they don't invest in youth. So if you don't do that, your development, even if you think you are developing your organization, it's going at a pace that is much slower than it should be. The world is changing so fast. If you don't bring in fresh blood into your organization, eventually this is going to turn very bad for you. You need to have a good balance. You need to do it smartly. You need to have a good strategy for that. You need to have the right people. It's not about having 60-year-olds or 20-year-olds. It's about having the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the wrong seat, in the right seat. Sorry.
Yes. And I think it come back to what you say earlier. It's also come back to the purpose of the organization. I mean, if the organization, for example, want to be growing in the technology space, for example, I mean, no one will believe a platform like TikTok will be used by business today, where my son from 3 years ago already play with TikTok 5 years ago. I don't know how long ago. And every time I look at my son is now late teenagers, but youth access technology earlier than many people in the organization, and suddenly this technology exists. And I think you make a good context in there. to actually invest
And
in the youth. Yeah.
a good leader always has to think of, people who will replace him or her.
Yes.
So it's very important that, they invest in the youth. They believe in them. It's always very controversial and paradoxical that, to get a job you need to have experience. But how do you start working without, how do you start working? You can't create an experience. So you have to believe. You have to believe in the youth. You have to give the chance. It's not just about making money. It's about giving back to the society. So part of you and your organization should always be about giving back to the society, and that is a responsibility that we all have. So that's why it's important to get there, to give. To the least you can do is to train young people, train them and just leave them out there. Train them and through internships, and hire them, give them a chance, teach them, let them fail. That's okay, but it's important for the society that we all help the youth to get there, to create a better future, better organizations, a better economy, a better country, a better government, all of this. How do we get there without giving the chance to the youth?
Yeah, it's so insightful. I love when you said, let them play. If they fail, it's okay. Like that's lovely.
It's exactly like football. The 17-year-old at some point has to play. Okay, let him get into the match and we lose. So what? 5 years from now, nobody will care about that match, about that goal, about that mistake. Nobody will care. But if you give them that chance, you need to put the player in the best conditions. If he does a mistake, you need to talk to him. You need to you need to motivate him, so that you don't just kill the player, because this is also possible in business, where you have a young talented employee, but the first mistake just kills him and then says, you know what, I will just play it safe. So this is also the responsibility for of the leaders to mentor the youth, to coach them, to guide them, again, to let them fail again, to help them stand up. Sometimes not even help them to stand up, because sometimes it's important, it's part of the process for them to get back up on their own, to become stronger in the future. But that all starts with believing that we can have stronger organizations, we can have stronger economies, we can have a better world. How do we do that? With youth. So all of the things that we learned, we try to transfer that to the. I sound like an old person, but we transfer that to the youth. Today they learn much faster than we did back in the years when we were young. So this is an opportunity. So maybe we learned things that were wrong. So let's challenge that. I would like an 18-year-old to tell me, okay, this is completely wrong. You shouldn't do that. But if you don't give the chance for the youth, you can't hope for a better world in the future.
Yes, which will then impact your business in the first place, because your business located in the world.
Of course, your business internally and externally, because within your organization you won't have the youth, the vibrant, dynamic culture, but also externally, if all of us don't give chance to the youth, at some point you won't have enough customers, and that is another way of losing. So you have to create the win-win situation for everyone. So for you, for your employees, for the clients, and you can't do that if you don't believe in a better future. And certainly there's no better future without the youth.
Yes.
Yeah, and I laughed before, Ahmed, because we see it all the time where people are looking for employees to join their company, but they're looking for someone fresh from uni with 10 years experience, and it doesn't make sense. We need to give them a go, and even Gus knows at Elite Words, I'm very much about that. Sorry, I need some water. But it is about giving them giving everyone a go. And then it plays on diversity of thought as well, Gus. We've spoken about that topic a lot, bringing fresh ideas to the table. And that's something that I wanted to ask you, Ahmed, about the traits that young people bring to business. Are there specific traits do you think they specifically bring to business, being a young person?
It's not about the age. It's about understanding correctly. So there are some advantages about this generation. They are, through technology, they learn things that were not possible before. And they have a mindset that everything is possible. They have a mindset of, a complex technology based, norms that we can seize. This is an opportunity for an organization. But of course, it's not just about the age. So you need to get the right people. Again, you need the diamond eye. You need to understand what the potential is of those potential employees. You need to understand how you can develop them, and you need to invest in the development. You need to teach them, and I think this is the best way forward.
And I think at the same time, organization, whether they are the size, small or big, when they want to invest in the youth, they need to be very open-minded.
Yes.
For example, I spoke to my eldest son one day. He meant to work by creating a note or something for his work, and I keep looking at him in and out of the house, walking with the dogs. And then I said, "Hey, Dylan, my son." And I said, "Are you actually working? Because this is a work hours." And he said, "Yes, Dad, I'm working." "But you are walking with the dogs. I thought you need to do a summary of a page or something." And he said, "Yes, I did. I do it when I'm walking, because now I actually just talk on my phone through my earpiece. It translates to a document." And I'm start thinking how effective an organization can be if people can do that in the technology while they keeping their balance, healthy, walking, talking. So that's come from a youth. Our traditional, I now call myself traditional around that, because I will never imagine that I'm typing something while walking with the dog at the park. Now, this is required an adjustment in organization, exactly what you say as well, while opening our mind through the benefit what the youth bring to us through that.
Yes, I agree with you. I believe in the concept of adaptive leadership. So
Yes.
adaptive leadership means that you need to have this balcony view. You need to understand the changes. You need to understand how the circumstances are. And fact is, the world is changing so fast today, so fast, and it will even change faster in the future. If you don't have those young people who understand it, who understand the new norms, the new mindsets of the people, at some point, that speed will overtake you so bad, and it will be disaster for you. So again, you need to anticipate all of this. You need to anticipate the changes, and you just need to acknowledge that every generation goes through different circumstances, and that makes us who we are and how we think. So the way they went through the new generations, the younger generations, the way they went through their circumstances can give you opportunities for your organization to understand your clients better, to reach out to your clients better, to create better products, to challenge the status quo, and to become a better organization, to create better products, to generate more revenue, and ultimately to create a bigger impact.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And look, Ahmed, I'm curious to know, do you think, from your perspective, young people, do they need mentors?
Everybody needs a mentor.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a mentor. So it doesn't matter if you're 99 years old, if you're 1 year old, we all need mentors. And that is it starts with the mindset to first of all to develop yourself, because unfortunately there are people that just don't want to invest in developing themselves, so they can be stubborn in not being open-minded to listen to the others. It starts from being humble to acknowledge that other people might know better than you, or might give you a perspective, or went through the experience that you can gain time. They went through an experience. They have 20 years more than you of experience that you can benefit from. So they can tell you, don't take this road, because I took this road and I failed. If you want to fail, take this road. But I advise you that you should take this and this and this road. And this is so important, because you have ups and downs. And if you're eager to go to climb the ladder, then definitely you need probably more than just one mentor. But then you need also to choose your mentors wisely. You need to identify yourself with your mentor. It has to be somebody that you look up to. It has to be somebody that you think you want to be like this person. So it's not just finding a mentor on the phone book, although phone books don't exist anymore. But it's about selecting the person that identifies who you want to become in the future.
Which come back again to the purpose.
Which comes back to the purpose. It doesn't mean that you need to have the same purpose.
Yes.
It doesn't. You connect sometimes with people. There's a team spirit. We say it in football. Sometimes you find a team with an average quality, but they just win. And you ask yourself why. There's some kind of spirit. It's not the spirit. They're all aligned in one way or another with a common purpose. Yes. They might not know it, but they might do it for the country, for the coach, for whatever purpose it is. But they are all aligned on it. Yes. So when it comes to your mentor, it cannot be conflicting, but it's more about the experience, the skill set, and it's more about where you want to go rather than why you do it.
Yeah. And Ahmed, for any business owners listening right now, are there any extra elements you think they need to be aware of or consider when they're hiring young people? Perhaps they don't have a young workforce, and now they've decided, after listening to this, they go, that's it, I'm going to hire, or they're going to change their mindset, give someone an internship. We're hoping they do that. But if there's is there anything extra that they need to take into account or think about when bringing on young people?
Yes, they need to look for attitude, talent, and humble people. And it's not easy to find people who have these three elements, these three skill sets, and then just try. There's nothing wrong with trying and failing until you get it right.
And I also believe that whether you are young, whether you are old, everyone wake up in the morning with a good intent. Now the reality whether they actually can execute their intent, that's different. We as an organization, as an older person compared to the youth, need to actually bring that good intent to a reality for them, which turn impacting the world in the better way. And I think that's important.
Yes, it's important. It's important that everybody understands the impact, internally and externally. So what impact does each individual bring in? What added value do they bring, and can they bring in the future?
Yes.
And that ultimately will get you to the impact of the organization externally.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at time. So I've got one more question that I'm going to squeeze in that I really want to ask you, because these days we find that, young people, they're quite open and they love changing jobs, which is great for them, because I love, hearing that they've got that courage to do that, but it may not necessarily be so good for business. So is there anything that you can, or any tips you can give businesses for keeping young people engaged and motivated to actually stay on?
You need to keep them hungry. I think there's nothing wrong with the turnover of employees. And again, a good example of that is football. And somebody once asked Sir Alex Ferguson what he does to keep the team motivated to win year after year. There was a period in time where Manchester United was winning everything. I don't remember this period of time because I was way back, but he said you need to bring in fresh blood. So every season, okay, you won everything. You need to question everybody. You need to bring in fresh blood so that some players will be threatened, some players will not play, and you need to sell some players, and you need to make everybody understand that there's pressure. It's not about you're great. No, that's it. It's not that. It's about constantly year after year doing even better and better and better, and you can only do that if you have a turnover of players. So I believe that even for organizations, as long as they have a system in place to bring in young people, invest in them, make them work, give them the chance to develop, make them grow in the organization. So as long as they grow within the organization, it's fine. Once you see that they're leaving your organization, there might be something wrong also with your organization, that at some point they can't grow anymore, so they would have to go somewhere else. And I encourage anybody who thinks that I reached the highest level possible at my organization, I can't reach higher, not in terms of position, but in terms of learning, in terms of development, go somewhere else. That's totally fine. So what organizations need to do, making sure that there is always more that they can learn. There's always more than they can do. You do that, and the young employees will stay.
Yes. Well,
course,
I love
most of the time, because sometimes you can't afford for top talent to stay longer. They get other offers. They want to do something different. But generally, it's not a bad thing to have turnover of employees.
Yeah, I love this statement because suddenly it just come through my mind while you're talking. The world and the nature itself focus on the generation. There is a reason why people getting old and then pass away and then the baby born. Because if we are having the same people from 500 years ago, then we still using horses today.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I guess the nature and the world and the real life that we have, everyone have to move on, and the young one coming in, the inexperience become the experience. That's where technology. So I think that's just fantastic to hear what you say. I really learn a lot just from what you say. If the same football player playing, then even if they keep winning, then the game will not improve. Even if the game, if they win
at some point they can't keep winning, because other teams, they will learn about you.
Yes.
So that's why you have to change. There's no other way.
Yeah. Look, I mean, our listeners are loving your answers, because we're getting lots of thumbs up on this end, and we're pretty much out of time, Gus. So I'm going to have to hand it over to you to wrap up the show.
Thank you. And Ahmed, thank you so much again for donating your insight and your leadership from Qatar to our office in Australia. When we hear you bringing the topic about purpose and youth, Natalie and I chat before and said, what a deep topic that we will bring. And you know what? If this is going for 5 hours, I will be able to stay here for 5 hours. This is some of the things that come through me through the past 1 hour.
Thank you.
If you want to create a better future for the world, then you need to inspire by creating better leaders for the future by investing in the youth. And the one thing that we can do to invest in the youth and to create better future is to really focus on the purpose. Everyone have a purpose, bringing the purpose out, guiding people to understand how to find their purpose will create the better future, because we need to understand why we do what we do. And once we understand why we do what we do, People will understand why we're doing what we do, and then we have a better future. And the reality is youth, like what you said, the reality is, whether we like it or not, youth is the future, because we can't live forever. So youth will go up. And if we're not investing in them now, then the problem is we will be failing, because the future will be non-developed. So our responsibility is to create that. I like what you say. The world and the generation are changing rapidly, yet our purpose remain. So the world can be, 50 years ago, if we just look medical, for example, we might not have the same medical technology like today, but the purpose to save life remain. And because of that, we keep inventing new ways of creating better future. So Ahmed, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the insights. I think both Natalie and I even have to relook our purpose, because I think it's key. And we love your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure and honor. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. For more information on Leader Talk and for some great resources to help your business grow, check out brainiac.com.au. Thanks, everyone. Bye.